Okay, guys, how's it going? So you're going through the two Let's Rightly Divide This videos that I set to upload for today. I did both of them yesterday. Oh, that one actually should be uploaded. Hold on, let me refresh. Bam, there it is. Okay, people are already watching it. Good. These are the 7.2 and 7.3 are the other two parts that I did about the rapture. There's so much information in the Bible about it. It's incredible. When I see or somebody type a comment or hear somebody say, oh, there's no evidence in the Bible about a rapture, there's nothing in there about it, I'm like, are you even reading the Bible? Did you get past the first 6 sentences? I mean, it's all over there. And in those 3 videos, that's why I had to do them 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3, because there's so much. And we didn't even cover it all. I didn't even do the Old Testament references. There's a bunch of them. A whole bunch of them. A surprisingly a large amount of them. In every book, there's little mentions of it here and there. So I did that on purpose, not using the Old Testament, because let's just stay in the New Testament and do this in the New Testament. Because if I add, and there's people that disagree with me on this, I don't care. If I add the Old Testament, it proves it even more. And it'll really prove it. Because then it shows the entire Bible agrees with it. And you know what? I'm going to leave that up to other people to take what I'm giving you in these videos, these Let's Rightly Divide This videos, and go do your own study in the Old Testament about what it says. Go look up grace in the Old Testament. Grace through faith. It's all over it from the very beginning, Genesis, all the way to Revelations. And yet there's people out there calling us grace heretics. Where have you been? Did you just get drop kicked out of the 13th century? I mean, what's the matter with you? This is how it is, guys. All right, so this is going to be, I'm going to show you a couple of things here. This is going to be rightly dividing. You know what? I'm not going to do rightly dividing. I'm going to show you this article here. Then I'm going to do another video for rightly dividing. So let's cover this. UN expert, a subscriber sent this to me, thank you. World religions should defer to the authority of UN experts. What? Are you serious? Special reporter, spelled that weird, Ahmad Shahid, concluded that laws based in traditional morality, often religious in nature, should be repealed if they conflict with the opinions of human rights scholars and UN experts. No. Why don't you go stand in traffic? What's the matter with you, man? Okay, so this is Washington, D.C. This was March 6th of this year. According to the UN Special Expert on Freedom of Religion, he's a special expert on freedom of religion, yet he's saying we need to remove the religion. Okay. The fringe views of UN human rights bodies must take precedence over the mainstream beliefs of many leading world religions when it comes to law and policy. In his newly launched annual report, Ahmad Shahid, the UN Special Reporter on Freedom of Religion or Belief, wrote about the intersection of religion and gender equality. He concluded that laws based in traditional morality, often religious in nature, should be repealed if they conflict with the opinion of human rights scholars and UN experts. He is now going to take moral law, established by God, and put it under human opinion, but only certain people's human opinion. Does anybody else see the disaster waiting to happen here? States have an obligation to guarantee to everyone, including women, girls, and LGBT plus people, an equal right to freedom of religion or belief, he said. They have that already. This is the same argument that goes on about firearms. We need more gun laws. We already have them. We need background checks. We already have them. Why are people buying them without background checks at gun shows? Go try it. See how far you get. Why do you think there's security there? Why do you think there's cops hanging out there? Why do you think there's ATF agents in disguise hanging out there? People don't think. And sometimes one of them will go and they'll try. Get out of my store. But that's what they think. Stupid. Including by creating an enabling environment where pluralist and progressive self-understandings can manifest. I want to point this out specifically because self-understandings can manifest. This is where all the 198 genders have come from. Self-understanding. Give them time and they'll be up to 365. That way you can be a different gender every year. I don't know how anybody else is supposed to know this, but paint it on your forehead maybe. This is the My Truth movement. It's not an official movement, but you've heard people say, well, this is my truth, and so this is what I'm going to go with. That's self-understanding. That means what they did was they created a narrative that supports them and only them and makes them right in every instance. It's the epitome of narcissism. I'm more important than you, so it's my truth right now. And when and if I decide to relinquish my truth in lieu of what you think is truth, I'm the one that makes that decision, no one else. And the more you fight me on it, the more I'm going to make it about me. That's all this is. Ironically, most, not all, most of the homosexual community and transgender community are in this self-understanding because they're self-justifying what they're doing. Now look, it's your choice to do what you want. But there are consequences for every action and decision we make, good or bad. They don't want there to be consequences. That's why they create their own truth. Self-understanding. You know, I had arguments with people. You're wrong about the transgender thing. I was like, then why is the suicide rate over 50%? It's not. It's only on people that go back to their original gender. I was like, where'd you get that from? Because that's not what the doctors are saying. You're propagating lies in order to push an agenda, and thereby causing other people to come into a situation where they could lose their lives. And he had nothing to say about that. I was like, that's blood is on your hands. This situation is being dealt with, but nobody's talking about it. They have a way to deal with it, and the people that go through that stuff have incredible lives afterwards. It's all associative disorder, identification disorder, and once they get it to the root of what caused it, which most people it happened when they were a kid, there was some switch flipped, then they are able to identify it. They're able to help the person understand it. And it's almost like the switch got flipped back the other way. And they go back and they have a normal, happy life. No problems. However, people that go have surgery, this is what I want, this is my truth, have the surgery, then they decide, you know what, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And they want to go back. And they realize they spent everything they had trying to get there. Now they can't get back and now they're stuck. They go into deep, deep depression. And over half of them, it's now over 60% now, commit suicide because of it. How is this? How does this work that way? But it doesn't. But this is all part of this self-understanding, this my truth thing. And now they're wanting to do is they're wanting to propagate this. Now, there's a lot of Christians actually who are in the same understanding. Well, I don't want it to be that way. Annihilationism is a great example of it. I don't want it to be that way because I don't like the way that makes me feel. So I want it to be this way. This is my understanding. This is my truth. That's why when you look at annihilationism as a group, you see all these little sub-beliefs contained within it. That's these individual people going, what I want to do is make it right for me, but I don't care about anybody else. It can be the same way for them, but for me, this is what I want. It's all narcissism. The truth is the truth. Whether you change it, whether you believe something different, whatever you do, the truth is the truth. And it's impossible for you to change it. So as much as you try, I've had to block people that I care about and love because they've done this. They've taken dreams and visions and put them in front of the gospel and then fought viciously on it. They've taken, which the next video that I'm going to do is going to be uploaded tomorrow, is about eternal damnation, eternal torment, and a bunch of others. But I'm going to cover all that, rightly dividing, because it is eternal. You don't go there and just get vaporized and cease to exist. We are eternal beings. We were created that way. That's why nobody in the Old Testament got vaporized. That's why at the end of the white throne judgment, all the people that are in hell have to come out. If they could be vaporized, why weren't they vaporized? Doesn't make sense. But they create that narrative because they don't like that. It's scary to think about. People you know are going to end up there. And it terrifies people and they don't want to think about it. So instead of taking their understanding, going to the Bible and correcting their understanding, they take and they move all these verses out of the way and just take the verses that make them feel good about themselves and create a brand new doctrine. That's wrong. Now, annihilationism as a whole isn't a doctrinal issue. There's people that disagree with me. But, we'll talk about this more in the other video, but several of the little different versions contained within it are doctrinal issues because they do away with salvation. Everybody dies, everybody goes to heaven. And that's not good. That's a doctrinal issue. That's why I had to block a buddy of mine. He wanted to agree to disagree. I said, dude, that's a doctrinal issue. You're eliminating salvation by this belief, because he was very descriptive about it. And then he started to rail. Sorry, man, I can't do it. Sorry. The Bible says mark and avoid. So, and he also wants to be a minister. Sorry. Crazy stuff. Anyway, we'll get deeper into that in that other video. So, in order to enable these self-understandings, laws criminalizing abortion or various sexual behaviors would need to be overruled. Now, understand, the laws criminalizing abortion, they're criminalizing full-term abortion. That's the act of actually having the baby. I had to straighten a few people's understanding out about that here a while back. Having the baby, making it comfortable, and then going and having a discussion. And then they either euthanize it, or they put it in what's called a crying room and let it cry itself to death. Yeah. Do your own research on how bad that is. It's horrible. They think hell, eternal punishment in hell is bad? Go look at what they're doing to these babies. Shahid noted that laws regarding abortion and homosexual behavior often arise from the application of religious teachings regarding the sanctity of life. I kind of see where this is going. Shahid noted that laws regarding abortion and homosexual behavior often arise from the application of religious teachings regarding the sanctity of life, the family, and sexual morality. While stopping short of directly calling on major world religions such as Christianity or Islam to change their doctrines, he attempted to differentiate between patriarchal and gender-equal interpretations of religious teachings. They're trying to change the Word of God. I don't like the way you treat people in that religion, so here's what we're going to do. And this is what they want. They want people to succumb. It's going to be the one world religion, Chrislam. The report cites the work of scholars who have worked to promote progressive reinterpretations of faith traditions. I don't like that word because that is not what this is. I see them talking about that. Oh, it's progressive. Then why is it regressing? Reinterpretations of faith traditions, adding that the source of gender-based violence or discrimination is not necessarily religions, but rather certain interpretations of them, which are not protected per se. The notion of LGBT plus rights, a concept that has only recently entered the parlance of scholars, and which has no international consensus, much less a formally accepted definition, which is the biggest problem with it right now, is treated by the report as a given. In contrast, religious traditions, some dating back thousands of years, are treated as subordinate. The special rapporteur cites many feminists and human rights scholars in arguing that the rules regulating the status of men and women, including in the appropriate appointment of clergy, are not only religious but political, and therefore are a concern for a state and international human rights laws. Why don't y'all go find another planet to do this stuff on? And just leave everybody alone here. Last November, Shahid tweeted a quote from a workshop focusing on gender equality and freedom of religion. When access to safe abortion is denied, the right to life, the right to health, and the right to equal human dignity is denied. I don't understand that. What about the baby? In doing what they're trying to do, they take all the baby's rights away. And they're murdering humans. I thought people went to jail for that. Just saying. It's still a human being. If it wasn't, why would it pull away when they tried to pull it out? On Monday, the Human Rights Council held an interactive dialogue with the special reporter, I keep wanting to say that weird, where a joint statement was presented on behalf of several pro-life and pro-family organizations, including CFAM, raising objections to the report's disregard for the rights of unborn children, here we go, and calls to restrict the rights of conscientious objection to abortion by healthcare professionals. The position of the special reporter on freedom of religion or belief is part of the subset of the UN Human Rights Council known as special procedures. As such, he serves in an individual unpaid capacity, and he's paid. I guarantee he's paid. And his reports are advisory and non-binding. Nevertheless, they feed into the UN's library of human rights documents that frequently cite each other in defending interpretations of human rights that are far from gaining widespread support among UN member states. Previous special reporters, including those whose mandates include torture, violence against women, and the right to health, have used their post to advance pro-abortion positions. So we see exactly what this guy's doing. The fact that they spelled reporter wrong, or is that the French? I don't know. Everything else is in English. Put that in English. So clearly they're trying to eliminate the natural moral laws that exist in the world that haven't been implemented by humans. They were already there. People naturally know them. It's wrong to kill another person without cause. It's wrong to steal. It's wrong to do a whole lot of things. And their natural human love proclaims that. Well, since love is growing cold now, just like the Bible said, now they're trying to do away with all this stuff. They don't care who they kill. You get too old and you're not unproductive, they're going to have, if they had their way, just like the movie Soylent Green back in the 70s, you had sinners, go turn yourself in, and they process you and turn you into food for the humans. Craziness. Luckily, the restrainer is still here keeping this nonsense from happening. Full scale. We're gone, this kind of stuff will happen full scale. Woe to the people of the earth in that day. What a terrible, terrible life they're going to lead. I shudder to think of how bad it's going to be. Okay, guys, let's go do a couple of... Well, since we're going to just do the headlines on this, let's do some headlines. Headlines. All right, government okays using phones to track coronavirus carriers. Well, they do that anyway. See, it's so funny because I run into people that think, I can't believe they've been tracking me all this time. And they're like, it's a surprise. What do you think the GPS on your phone is? It's always on. Even if your phone is turned off, they're still tracking it. Minister promises use of anti-terror technology will not turn Israel into a dystopian state, despite worries of overreach amid health crisis. I get emails once a week, telling me where I've been, showing the routes and the times I was there. And when you dig into the details, you can find how fast you were going and everything. They follow you everywhere you go. Don't think otherwise. This has been like this since the 80s. It got really strong when they introduced the cell phone. The cell phone wasn't to help us become more connected. The cell phone was to distract us while they did their Big Brother thing, which we fought in the 70s and early 80s. They got it anyway. Rivlin to task Gantz with forming government after he received 61 endorsements. Actually, this has since changed, I believe. Hawkish Yisrael Netanyahu party leader Lieberman joins Arab lawmakers in endorsing blue and white leader for premier, giving him first shot at forming a government. Actually, it looks like Gantz has been given it and they took it away from Netanyahu. This is... let's see if I can find the story. Because they just announced it, I believe, today. Urges leaders to calm public slams unnecessary. Yeah, unnecessary panic. He will need to relax. Okay, let's go to Jerusalem Post and see if they got it. But there's a story that had come out where Lieberman endorsed Gantz and said we need to get rid of Netanyahu. Gantz given, okay, yeah, here it is right here. Gantz given first shot at forming the government. Amidst the coronavirus crisis, Netanyahu tried to convince Gantz to join an emergency unity government. However, his request fell on deaf ears. I think they actually booted him out because of this. Okay, with the support of both Lieberman and Yisrael Beitenu's party and the Joint Arab List, so he's got everybody backing him, Netanyahu's main rival, Benny Gantz, was given the first opportunity to form a government. They're trying to stem from going to a fourth round of elections because they figure that if this doesn't work here and they go to a fourth round, they're going to have major problems in Israel. And although the former IDF chief gets first dibs at forming a governing coalition, his chances of actually succeeding are slim. That's because in order to do that, he would likely need the Joint Arab List to agree to join his government, which is likely unlikely to happen. They don't want Netanyahu in there. If Gantz fails to form a coalition, Prime Minister Netanyahu will have a shot at it. But unless the Prime Minister can recruit at least 3 defectors, his chances of forming a government don't seem to be much better. Amidst the coronavirus crisis, Netanyahu tried to convince Gantz to join an emergency unity government. However, his request fell on deaf ears. He has been trying to get this unity government to form up ever since since before the third round of elections that just happened. Let's see. Jordan closes Al-Aqsa Mosque on Temple Mount amid coronavirus fears. Well, that's a smart move. So here we go. Netanyahu's corruption trial postponed until May amid COVID-19 crisis. So they're not going to convict him until May. God, they keep extending this out. There's a reason why they're doing this, extending this. Hey, who's noticed how many grace preachers have been led into the book of John or John's writings here lately? Remember I did it here just in a video the other day? Well, we were doing about the commandments, and it was all in John's writings. And I'm starting to notice other people are being led into John too. There may be a reason for that. What else? Rabbinic closure of Western Wall diverts record number of Jews to the Temple Mount for special prayer for coronavirus cure. Netanyahu calls on Gantz to form emergency unity government, yet they don't want to do it. Arab MK proposes canceling the ingathering of the exiles. I thought they already did that. Netanyahu losing elections because he denied Jewish prayer on Temple Mount, says Rabbi. Well, no, y'all been wanting to get rid of him ever since 3 years ago. Jerusalem Post. Let's see. Rivlin negotiating unity government with Netanyahu and Gantz. Now, this was the big push from Rivlin and Lieberman. We're doing the big pushing to push it over into Gantz's arms and have him deal with it. Supposedly, like as of yesterday or the day before, I was reading articles in here that was talking about Gantz didn't have nowhere near enough support to be able to do it. Why suddenly did everything change? Let's see. So, the breaking news over here on the side. If you use the mobile version on the Jerusalem Post, it's a ticker right under the main story, and it pops through and shows you all the stuff for COVID-19. Slovakia declares state of emergency. South Africa declares a national disaster, and what's bad is they already had locusts and stuff. There's an emergency meeting. That was at 10:54 p.m. last night. Let's see. President Rivlin brought together Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Blue and White leader Benny Gantz, and negotiating teams of both Likud and Blue and White at the president's residence. The president's residence on Sunday night in an effort to form a unity government to deal with the coronavirus. See, right here, look, this is how dumb people are. Tel Aviv man in coronavirus quarantine seeks women to keep him company. The meeting ended after an hour and a half when neither side or Rivlin's office reported progress. That's not good. Sources close to the president said that he was open to both a temporary emergency government and a 4-year unity government. Among the options to be discussed was a government that would first be led by Netanyahu for a year, followed by Gantz for 2 years, and then not Netanyahu again, or whoever would lead Likud at that time. The public expects to see unity as soon as possible, Rivlin said in an earlier meeting with Likud representatives. No one wants a fourth election. You know what I think may happen if they do a fourth election? It's very probable that they may have a civil war within Israel because of it. They want their government because they want to be able to go and do what they're going to do. What they want is to build the third temple. Rivlin's invitation to Netanyahu and Gantz came after presidential consolations at the president's residence, in which Gantz received a majority of recommendations from the 61 MKs of Blue and White, the Joint List, Labor Moretz, and Yisrael Beitenu. After the consultations, Rivlin's office initially said he would officially give Gantz the mandate to form a government on Monday afternoon. That's right now is their Monday afternoon. But then he invited Netanyahu and Gantz to meet. The deadline for Rivlin to grant a mandate to form a government is Tuesday night. So he has no time. There's no time left to be able to do this. They're in crunch time. Gantz does not have a clear path to forming a government because multiple MKs in his own party opposed forming a minority government backed by the Joint List of Arab parties, which is the Blue and White's only option for a narrow center-left coalition. Nevertheless, Blue and White announced its intentions to press ahead with efforts to remove current Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein, he's Likud, and vote in its own candidate, Meir Cohen. This would give Blue and White vital control over the formation of Knesset committees and numerous procedural matters in the legislature. Edelstein vowed, however, that he would not allow a vote to replace him to be held in the Knesset plenum. Hasty political processes such as electing a new Knesset speaker are designed to shut down the possibility of unity that the people want, Edelstein said. I will not enable a process that breaks conventions and is designed to enable underhanded opportunism in the legislature. And he's right. Actually, he's making a good decision. That's the right thing for him to do. Okay, let's try another story. See what else we can find. Justice Ministry, Shin Bet needs Knesset approval for coronavirus tactic. Israel's measures against coronavirus not unlike Big Brother. Yeah. As the coronavirus outbreak worsens, we need to be something. So just don't panic. It's not worth it. I was talking to people in the store while walking through, and it's like, why is everybody going there? There's no shortage of anything. And even the people that work in the store, they're like, yeah, we don't know what's going on. Why there's no shortage. I was like, we just came and got what we needed, and we're leaving. It's not like it's a... And toilet paper, gone. I don't get it. They don't know either. Nobody knows why. It just doesn't make sense. Shin Bet foils Hamas attempt to recruit Israeli Arab mother. Concern of potential coronavirus outbreak in Gaza. Yeah, it's probably going to happen. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you guys. Last night I told you that my daughter's actually had as a trip planned to Vegas. And 1 hour before, I told you some of the stuff she told me. 1 hour before they were to catch their flight, her friend, who has family that are pilots, notified her and said, hey, we just brought a plane load of people back, and one of them was sick with coronavirus. They're banning all groups above 250. In Austin, Texas, they're actually enforcing it with police. We've got more police out here in our little town. They're talking about, like, all businesses are shutting down or reducing, like even movie theaters. They're reducing their showing so they can have no more than 250 people at a time there. But it only takes one. And they finally at the last minute ended up canceling their trip. And you know, they were kind of upset about it, but I was like, you guys made the right decision. Because if you'd have gotten over there and they'd have shut all the state borders down and limited travel, you'd have been stuck there. Because they were going by plane, not by car. So you guys probably made the best choice. And that's been a lot of people. They've been changing plans. But not everybody. Somebody was telling me that, yeah, here at the beach yesterday, they're telling everybody to stay home. No crowds bigger than 250. Everybody goes to the beach and packs the beach. Just spread it all over the place. So, you know, it takes personal responsibility to keep stuff like this from getting out of hand. But if people aren't going to do that, like the races and everything, and sporting events, a lot of your sporting events, they went ahead and they had them, no fans. Racing events had them, no fans, but they televised it. You know, if that's the way things are going to go, then that's the right way to do it. But Gal Gadot, she's awesome. Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing anything super. Yeah, Canada, Justin Trudeau, Canada not ruling out closing U.S. border. Canada and Mexico both are talking about closing them. I think that's a good idea. They need to shut them down. Keep this stuff under control so we can deal with it. The idea is you want to keep it in one place to be able to deal with it. So, okay, guys, well, that's a few of the headlines. Not really anything jumping off the pages, just the normal stuff we've been dealing with for a couple days now. So if anything new pops up, I'll do another video and show you guys. All right, love y'all, and I'll see you in the next one.